This is part 3 of my Reclaim Your Domain series. And from the start, let's just say that this is the moment after you've created a GitHub page, right? After you've turned that into a website, after you've uploaded a new template, after you've committed all of that to GitHub, after you've hit refresh and you're so excited and oh my God, this is what you get. And you look at that and you're like, wow, Audrey, what the fuck? No. My God, that's terrible. I know. I know. And let me just say that this is because the paths within that file folder that you have are not pointed to something like a subdomain like audreywaters.github.io. They expect all of this to work at the top level domain, something like audreywaters.com, right? But don't worry, this is all editable, this is all fixable, and what you do with templates is really up to you, right? You get to tweak the look of your site when you own your own domain. You get to become familiar with all of the things that generate the appearance on through the browser. Nobody will probably know you're ever making these changes. You can think of it as a sandbox, and you can recognize that on the internet, sandboxes are necessarily full of cats, cat videos, and cat shit. I get that. You've got tons of time now that you've decided to own your own domain to be able to make the changes you want locally on the files and then upload them to GitHub. You can fix all these URLs. You can use GitHub Pages to run your own site. You really can. Or what I suggest is you actually own your own domain, right? You purchase, or I should say, you license your own domain. But this presumes in this series that you have set up a GitHub repo, you've purchased a domain name, and now all you need to do in this next step is to connect them. And that's what this video is going to talk about. This video is going to sort of address this notion of DNS. DNS is sort of what we say when we say we're going to point at something else. DNS means the domain name system. This is the system that we use to assign domain names to computers and servers and websites and connect those to IP addresses. So much lingo, I know. IP addresses are sort of the numerical string that other computers use to find one another on the internet. Computers use IP addresses. For us humans, it's easier for us to remember something like hackeducation.com than it is to know that you can find me at 194.42.57.193, right? So IP is the internet protocol. It's how machines talk to machines. Humans like to use other methods, right? So now what I've done based on the last video is I have all of my files, my new website stored on GitHub in the cloud, and I have a copy of them locally. Currently, the DNS for that repository points to audreywaters.github.io/pigeons. I want to change that. Again, that means I have to purchase from a licensed domain distributor. I have to purchase my own domain. I should say, never, ever, 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 ever buy a domain from GoDaddy. Never, never, ever, ever, ever buy a domain from GoDaddy. If you have your domains at GoDaddy, do everything, everything, everything to get your domains off GoDaddy. I use Hover. They're fabulous. They're Canadian. I used Hover to buy a domain for this exercise, and I'm going to redirect this repository, audreywaters.github.io/pigeons, to that domain here in this video. So first what happens is I need to actually create a new file. So I'm going to go into my pigeons thing and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to create a new file right here. So I'm going to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy something, but I'm going to create a new file. So I'm going to call it pigeons.click, actually, new file. I'm going to save it, file, save as, save it into, oh, this is Ken's computer. This is so dumb. I'm pretty sure it's in the documents folder. I'm going to save it as CNAME. So somewhere in my documents folder, oh, here we go. Here we go. In my documents folder, I have created a CNAME. Just going to drag that in there. There we go. CNAME lives there. Right. Yeah, there it is. CNAME. Okay, so CNAME. That's going to be able to be the record that tells GitHub where GitHub and the web writ large where to look, right? So I've created it. So if you open it again, pigeons.click is the name of my URL. So let's commit that to GitHub. See, you can see it's green, new file. CNAME, commit to GitHub, and we'll sync that. So now I'm going to go to Hover, where I run my websites. And as you can see, I've got rogerwaters.com, lots of websites. Let's edit this. Let's go into the DNS. So these are the DNS records that by default Hover gave me, right? And so I know, based on the number of websites that I've done this way, that I'm going to have to change my DNS in order to find a repository that lives in the world of GitHub. I'm going to have to change my DNS record to 192.30.252.153. Let's copy that. So I change the, I changed the A records to 192.30.252.153. There we go. That's it. Now the domain that I own, pigeons.click, will resolve to the GitHub repository. That's as easy as it is. But one pause before I do that. It actually sometimes takes an amazingly long time for the internet, the series of tubes that it is, to actually resolve DNS. So I always like to go to something like centralops.net. And so I can say, what happens when I go to pigeons.click? And it tells me it's ready, but I'm not actually ready on my site to click. All right, because I'm making a walkthrough. But let's pretend that when I click on pigeons.click, it's really going to show me that new website. We'll pretend that, and we'll save that for the next video.